Happy Monday knitters, I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool and welcome back to my channel. I've got 2 new starts to show you this week. I've got progress on last week's starts and I even have a little bit of a finish to show you. So I hope everybody has had a great knitting week too. Is anybody starting anything new with me this week? Has anybody finished anything? Leave me a message down in the comment because I love chatting with you. So let me know what you're working on and let me show you what I've been working on this last week. I got a fair amount done, which makes me pretty happy. Okay, let's start off with this mystery dishcloth. I got another one finished. Which one is which? This is the newest one. Okay, let's start back. Let's do a little recap. Last week, I showed you this one that I had finished. This is that mystery dishcloth that I was calling the cable cast on stitch. And then I had been sent a link and another lovely knitter, she was playing around with this stitch and she was calling it the slanted knit stitch, which both are very accurate in how the stitch looks and how it's knit. So really either one would be good. But I don't know, slanted knit stitch. That does have a, I don't know, maybe we'll just call it that for right now. Anyways, this was the one I did last week. Look at this crazy curl and it was really, really tight. I think this was a 4.5 millimeter. So I bumped it up to a 5.5 and this is the one that I finished this week. I was really hoping that having a looser gauge would help with this bias effect. And as you can see, it's still biased some, but not near as much as the other one. You can still see a slant down here, but it's not that bad. I'm wondering if it was knit out of wool, if it was given a nice good block, if it would straighten out, because this, you know, I sit here and I keep playing on it. I keep pulling it around and it does get more square the more I kind of play with it. So I'm wondering if it was something that I could block. I think it would turn out pretty good. So I still let it curl. I just decided to embrace the curl for right now. I know a couple people had left me messages because I asked, what did you think I could do to prevent the curling? And I think the most popular answer was to try seed stitch. On this one here, the week before, I tried putting on garter stitch, but like I said before, it seemed way too flimsy compared to the thickness of the fabric. I don't know, and plus it still curls. So that didn't really work. So anyway, so I may give this another try with some seed stitch on just to see if that would, because I really would like this to lay flat. But you know what I really envision this? If I was to play around with this stitch again, I would like to do this in a scarf. And I think the curling part, I would just put a fringe on there and that solves the curling. But anyways, so another dishcloth done. I actually got 2 done this week. Are you ready for this one? I love this one. So remember I had that Christmas dishcloth. Look at this. Look at this. Is that not like the best thing ever? So this is Knit Picks Dishy is the yarn, and the pattern is just simply called Modular Dishcloth. This was one that Rick Rack had left me a message about a couple of videos ago when I was asking about possible patterns to use this Christmas dishcloth cotton with. I'm so glad I tried this. This was so fun to knit, you guys. And there was no seaming of stitch or with your cast on and cast off edge together. I think it was the 4 square dishcloth that I had done back like a couple of months ago. That was recommended. I think it was Donna Jean that recommended that one. It was really fun to do, but that pattern had you do a provisional cast on. Well, that's what you were supposed to do. I didn't. I just did long tail. And then the pattern said to graft it together, which would give you a really nice finish. I just mattress stitched mine or kind of whip stitched it closed. But this one, if you didn't want to do that finishing on that 4 square, this one might be a fun option. Look at that. Look at the variegated yarn. Every time I hold it up, I just love it. You can definitely see the direction, how you actually start out down here. So you start with the large number of stitches, and then as you work up this center decrease, it just pulls it up into a diamond shape until you're left with 1 stitch at the end. So this is a good project if you are not all that familiar with picking up stitches or you want something to practice on. the edges of all of these 4 squares have slip stitches on them. So actually you can you see? So if I wanted to get crazy and make this into, say, a blanket, I could pick up stitches, because see, you can see that nice slip stitch there. That makes it really nice. I was gonna see if I had a empty, do I have an empty needle around? I do. So can you see that? You can see those V stitches. Those are the slip stitches. And if you put your needle in, see, it just you pick up those 2 legs. Your needle just slips in there really nice. You can just go down here practically by feel and pick up. Oh, that's only 1. That's what I want. So see, it makes it really nice edge. It makes a nice edge just on the dishcloth itself, but if you're gonna pick up stitches, the slip stitches is the way to go. Makes picking up really easy. So this would be a fun project just to practice picking up stitches, because A, it's a dishcloth. If they don't look all that even, or if they're a little bumpy, so what? It's a dishcloth, face cloth, spot cloth. It'll still work with a few bumps in there. And if you've got the variegated yarn, it's going to really, kind of hide anything that's a little irregular in there. Anyways, modular dishcloth. I forget who the designer was. The pattern is great. It's a free pattern. And it was about 4 or 5 pages, because she has diagrams on there, because you're going to end up with this mitered square, and then she walks you through knowing exactly which edge you're going to pick up and how where your tails should be and all that kind of thing. So definitely highly suggest it. Modular dishcloth, go check it out. And I posted this, I don't know if you saw this picture on Instagram, but I posted this and Adrienne saw it, and I think Adrienne has been bitten by the modular knitting bug, because she and I had talked about possibly knitting a scarf pattern that she had found. And I think she posted on her Instagram page, or reposted, a picture of an Afghan. So I don't know, if you want to go a small project, do the dishcloth. If you want to jump in like Adrienne and do a full Afghan, you by all means do that too. But this is really fun. So check out Adrienne's Instagram too. You may see some modular knitting over there if that's your thing. Or if you want to know a little bit more about it or see works in progress. Anyways, it's fun. It was fun. And it only took me a day. I don't know exactly. I don't want to, it probably was just an afternoon. I know I cast it on and I finished it later that day. And I probably did a few things and got up and did some gardening or whatever in between there. But it was a really quick knit. So 2 dishcloths finished this week, guys. I am on my way to getting my 52 dishcloths done. This one here, I really like this. I really like this. Now somebody's told me that this colorway is called Jingle Multi, I think it is. And, or just Jingle, whatever, I think just Jingle. And I think sadly it's been discontinued. So I don't know if Knit Picks has come out with another Christmas colored dishcloth cotton to replace this. Does anybody know? Has anybody looked on their website? I kind of hope they have. I can't imagine not having a Christmas colorway, but I don't know. I guess I'll have to go look to find out, unless one of you smart knitters out there can tell me. I can always rely on you guys, because somebody always knows. What I don't know, you guys generally do. Okay, what else did I work on? I spent a lot of time on the weekend sock knitting. And this, I have been posting a lot of pictures of this sock as I've been going along. And it is done. And it fits perfect. I love it. Love it. So sock number 1 is done. I have not cast on sock number 2 yet, because this yarn, the colorway is called Mine, and it is by Timber Yarns. And they come in 2 skeins that are matching, so you can make your self-stripping socks match. So I have the other skein sitting over there on the table, and I haven't wound it up yet. So that's the only thing that stopped me from casting on. But I'm going to definitely cast on, because I don't want to have this single sock sitting around without its front to go with it. And I'd like to have it ready for when the fall comes and I can actually wear them as soon as the weather cools down enough to wear hand knit socks. What else have I been working on? Okay, my new starts for last week. Let's talk about this, because this is pretty, well, I think it's exciting. Hopefully you'll think it's exciting too. Okay, remember this cotton I had, Patins Grace? And did I, oh, Tangelo, this is the colorway. Now Patins Grace, this I have had in my stash again, I bet you really seriously close to 10 years. So I might be probably safe to say this colorway has now been discontinued. I had thought at one time they had totally discontinued Grace, but there again, somebody told me I was wrong about that, and I see that they do have new colorways out. And it is a lovely yarn to knit with. It's 100% cotton. And I think it's a weight 3, so that's like a DK weight. Yeah, 24 stitches for 4 inches on a 4mm needle is what the gauge is supposed to be on the yarn. Anyways, my little swatch. Remember I said this was going to be a sweater? And I can show you. Sorry, I left my magazine on the floor. Okay, this is going to be another top out of this magazine. This magazine is still on the newsstands here, so if you haven't picked it up, it's actually has some really cute summer tops in it. Now, let me show you. Oh, Susanna left me a message last week in the comments because I was talking about this sweater and I didn't say what the name of it is. So this is what it's going to be. And so she left me a comment. She's like, hey, Louise, what is the name of that pattern, that sweater pattern you're going to make? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't think I had even looked at the name of the, of it. I just looked at the sweater and I'm like, oh, I like that. So I went back and I looked. And there it is. Note the neckline. That sweater is actually called Square Neck Pullover. They did not get creative on the names, but it is very descriptive, just not very creative. So Square Neck Pullover, there it is. And it's in the current issue of Knit Simple. I'm actually using the called for yarn, which is odd because I think we were having this conversation about do you substitute yarn? And I had just finished talking to somebody and saying, oh yeah, I substitute all the time. I mean, very rarely would I ever have the called for yarn, and believe it or not, Patins Grace. So obviously it's not discontinued because it's in a current magazine. Anyways, I started swatching with a 3.75mm needle. It didn't quite get gauge. And this is where you can modify your sweaters a little bit. Look at the finished measurement, and between the sizes, this pattern gives you 4 inches, which is a fair amount of ease between, between inches between the sizes. So the way I'm going right now on this 3.75, I'll let you give a good look at that lace. Isn't that so pretty? I would probably end up between sizes, which I think would be okay because I don't know if I want to have quite that much ease. But I decided I'm going to try, I slipped this 4.0mm needle onto my little swatch. So I'm going to do a couple more repeats on the 4mm. I'm using a 3.75, going up to a 4. I don't know if it's going to change it that much, but we'll see. If I can get gauge, I'd be happy. So I need it a little bit bigger. I cast on 16 stitches. I think the gauge on it was 16 stitches. What do I have here? I think it was 16. Yeah, so I've got 16. So because measuring gauge on lace is a little tricky because you don't have, it's not like you can count 16 stitches or, you know, whatever your gauge is on here because you have all of these lovely yarn overs in there. So what I did is I just cast on 16 and then was going to measure to see if I got 4 inches. And I'm close, but not quite. So I'm going to try the larger size needle just so I can get a little more width in here, and then I'll cast on and I will just knit the pattern. But this lace, I know you're thinking, oh wow, this doesn't look like very much, but you know how much I've learned from just doing this little swatch? Quite a bit. I've figured out that I like knitting with this Grace. I've knitted quite a few things with Grace, so I knew I liked the yarn. But if this was a case where it was a brand new yarn, I would have already decided that, you know what, I like this. It's not splitty. I'm not finding it overly slippery, even using it on metal needles. I like it. I figured out 2 good lessons so far on this 4-row lace repeat. I found 2 places that I caught myself making mistakes on. So it's much better to figure out that on a little swatch than actually on your full garment. This is not mindless lace knitting. Most lace isn't mindless, but it's not just like you're doing a yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together. It's not that at all. So you have to pay a little bit of attention. And so where I was finding I caught myself, a couple times I was 1 stitch short when I came back on my next row. And where I figured it out was at the end where it said, you know, you were just to knit 4 stitches, yarn over, and then do your edge stitches. Somehow in there, I was forgetting to do that very last yarn over, which obviously would leave me 1 stitch short. Then on those yarn overs, where you get these pretty lace holes, you have to work 2 stitches into each yarn over. And a couple times I found myself, you know, it's like muscle memory takes over and you start knitting into that yarn over. You knit the first stitch and you slip that yarn over right off your needle and you carry on. Well, obviously, if you're supposed to knit 2 stitches and you just knit 1, simple math tells me that I am 1 stitch short. So, you know, just practicing on here, that's just giving me a good little tip to make sure that I watch myself when I do those yarn overs, make sure I'm working 2 stitches and not to forget that very last yarn over at the end of my row. Because lace is something that you just can't fudge. Like, trust me, if there's any way you can fudge something without having to rip it out, I am all for that. But lace is not it's not just like garter stitch. If you're working garter stitch or even stockinette stitch and you're a stitch more or stitch less, well, you can just make 1 or knit 2 together and carry on. Can't do that in lace. If you get to the end of your row and you're like, oh dang, I'm like 1 stitch too many and knit 2 together, I've tried, trust me, I've tried it. And I think, oh well, it'll work its way out, right? Eventually I'll get back on track. And with lace, you don't. Most times you don't. Most times it just ends up making the problem worse. With lace, you really need to be able to read your stitches and know exactly in which stitch repeat, which pattern repeat you have like forgotten a yarn over. Find out where that stitch is short, and that's where you need to fix it in that exact spot. Lifelines, that's what I would say. Lifelines and stitch markers. Those are your best friends when you're knitting lace to try to keep you on track. So anyways, I'm really liking this. Now, I didn't cast on enough, sorry, excuse me, to see how this yarn was going to knit up, because we had looked at it in the ball and thought, I was like, oh no, did I do this? I pulled it out last time, didn't I? Because we were going to see if it was going to stripe or not. I remember doing this last time. And the repeats are not long enough for it to stripe. So now the question will be, is it going to pool? Are we going to have like blotches of color popping, like stacking on top of one another? That jury is still out. We'll see once I get the full width of the front. It's knit in 2 pieces and then it's seamed up. So we'll see. Anyways, right now, I'm liking my little swatch. I love the colors of it. I like these nice big yarn overs. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I'm on vacation next week, so I'm hopefully going to have a lot more knitting time to get really get a good start on this. Okay, new starts. No, I have one more thing that I worked on before I get to new starts for this week. My sweater. Now, sadly, my sweater did not get as much attention as I was really hoping. Remember, was it last week or the week before, I had some like crazy notion that I was going to get both sleeves done in like no time, even though I know sleeves are big and they take up a lot of knitting time. Somehow I still miraculously think I'm going to fool myself and I'm just going to whip them off like nothing. But I actually didn't even hardly work on my sweater until Sunday. And it definitely doesn't get done if you don't work on it. But my sock, I was like in sock knitting mode. I just wanted to get the sock done and I was just, my little 9-inch circular just going round and round and round. And my poor sweater sat and didn't get as much attention as it should have. So maybe this week. This was, okay, let me show you. If you're new, if you haven't seen my sweater, I'll give you a quick lowdown on it. The pattern is called Soundtrack, and the designer is Marie Green. So I've got the body all done. It's knit top down, and I'm working on my first sleeve. The yarn is, do I have a ball here with a ball band on it that I can show you? I don't know if I have a ball band, but it is a blend of hemp and wool. Oh my gosh, I almost said cotton. It is not cotton at all. Hemp and wool. It is a little on the rusticy side of things. If you're somebody, like this is a little more picky than like a classic wool even, but not as picky as a Briggs & Little kind of thing. It's somewhere in the middle there. I really like it. You guys know I love rusticy yarns, so the little bit of pick doesn't bother me at all. Anyways, it is a blue color, but it does kind of, it's like a bluey gray. It does look, even when I look at the sweater, it does have really a gray tinge to it. I love it. I can't wait to wear it. I tried it on and it fits perfect. So I am just working on my sleeve. So see all my stitch markers? I've just been putting stitch markers just to show where I've been doing decreases. And I'm getting there. I'm making good progress. I did start doing my, there we go. You can kind of see how far I am. I'm like getting, no, that's not quite accurate. I don't know, maybe about there. Anyways, I'm getting close. I'm getting close on this. I'm started to do my decreases a few rows closer together down to the bottom because I don't want to, I want to make sure that I end up decrease down to the right stitch number, and I want my sleeve to be the right length. I think the way I'm going right now, my sleeve would be too long. So I'm just going to start decreasing a little quicker to get down to the cuff. So, and then sleeve number 2 is just waiting here for me. So we'll see. Who knows? I'm not going to say, but I am on vacation. So let's see. I don't know. Sock number 2 or sleeves? What will happen? Or a new summer top? I don't know. I'm not going to make any guesses because it's just going to be what kind of mood I'm in, whether it's socks or it's sweaters. We'll wait and see. I have my yarn room. It's sitting up there waiting for me to organize. That is like a big project that I totally got overwhelmed with it, starting to organize it all. And I just totally stopped, thinking that I would just save it for when I was on vacation. Well, now vacation's only a couple days away, and I can hear that yarn calling my name. So we'll see. Hopefully, my goal is to be able to eventually give you guys a little tour of the room so you can actually see it organized, and I can start doing some podcasting up there. We'll wait and see. New starts for this week, a dishcloth. I have got, look at this ball. It is, it's looking a little sad, but that's because I'm getting to the end of it. I'm pretty sure I will finish all of this. So let's see, let's double check what this said. Yep, Jingle Multi. So if you have any of this in your stash, I highly suggest get it out and knit it. Lots of times I will look at something, I pull it out of my stash and I knit on it and I end up loving it. And I think, oh my God, why did I leave it in my stash for so long? If I'd known I was gonna love it this much, I would have knit it, years ago. So this is another pattern that Rick Rack had suggested to me. It's called Christmas Cloth. Again, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And look at this. It uses this little butterfly stitch, or it looks almost like a bow tie. Can you see it right there? Up here, I've started on my second pattern repeat. See how I've got those slip stitches there? So you just work a few rows of those, then you come back in the center and you scoop it up and you work a stitch. And that's how you get that little butterfly bow tie look. Isn't that fun? So this week's dishcloth is well underway. I'm almost thinking that I'm not sure if I have enough to finish this dishcloth. I might run short. I don't know. I'm thinking I might even maybe putting a white stripe in it. But every time I do that and I think I'm going to run out of yarn and I stripe it or something, it never works out, and I always end up with a teeny tiny little bit of this left over. I don't know. We'll see. I may weigh this to get an idea, or I just may knit and it'll be what it is. I like this. So thanks for the suggestions for the dishcloths, because it's nice to try something different. And I'm excited doing the Christmas in July dishcloths. I kind of like that. I think next year I will make Christmas in July more of a thing. I don't know exactly what that thing will be, but I think it will be something exciting and fun. I will find out next year. Okay, my next project is, again, really old stash yarn. And it is one of my favorites, Patins Classic Wool. I pulled 2 colors off my shelf. This was exactly colors that I was looking for. A navy and a gold was what I was looking for. And I found them both. This is only a part ball. I'm not even sure what the exact color is. I'm guessing it's navy. I don't know what else they would call that. And this one here is called Old Gold. And I'm sure that this is discontinued because I've had it, like I said, forever. And I did go look on their site, and they have another yellow, but I think it's called Sunshine, and it's a much more, sunny yellow than this gold color. It looks more orangey than I think it's showing up on the screen, but it's nice. So, any guesses what I did with 2 colors of wool? I cast on another double knitting project because, apparently I need, 3 of them? I think this is the 3rd double knitting project I have on the needles, but we do have our Fiber Friends double knitting knit along is going on until August 14th, the Friday night, because we're going to draw the winner live on our live Friday night knit-in over on the Fiber Friends Fiber Friends Friday night knit-in group. That name always is a tongue twister for me. Anyway, so if you have any inkling to try double knitting, I say try it. Cast on, and look at that, there's the other color. And give it a go. And over on the Ravelry group, in the Fiber Friends group, there is a thread for finished projects. And like I said, we'll pick a winner in a couple of weeks. So you've got lots of time to do something small. This is going to be a hot mat. So a hot mat, a coaster. You want to get, a little bigger. You can do a scarf. You can do whatever you want. And it's you can enter in our knit along. So this is going to be a hot mat. It's double thick. So like I said, there's the yellow side with the blue heart, the blue side with the yellow heart. I did do a different cast on. I decided on this one I would just do a solid cast on. So I just used the blue and just did a long tail cast on. And then for my first row, that's when I started alternating yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, knit, pearl all the way across. And then that started to separate out my colors. So I just searched Intarsia motifs on Pinterest, actually is where I searched it. And I just found one that I liked and just started knitting it. So the only thing you have to remember is that when you're working from just an Intarsia chart, every square of the chart is 2 stitches. It's your front color and it's your back color. It's a knit and it's a purl. And then you work away across the chart, just like normal chart reading, bottom to top, and right to left and then left to right. Just mark on your chart which direction you're knitting from, what color side that is. So on one side I would write navy side, the other side I would write yellow. So then if I ever need to come back or figure out where I am on the chart, if I know I'm on a yellow side, then I'm going to know I'm going to start reading left to right. It just helps. So anyway, this is fun. This has only been, not that much, a couple days worth of knitting. I think I did the solid one evening. yeah, I think I started this Sunday night and worked on that, and then worked on that Monday morning. So it's fun. I'm just following a chart. I'm kind of winging it, but I think it's going to turn out okay. And that's that. So I don't know how much of this yarn I'm going to use. I definitely won't use all of the gold. I don't think I'll even use all of the navy. How to think of that for formal testing, like just feel it, weigh it. I'm like, will I have enough? I don't know. Anyways, I think I would love it to like come up perfectly, that I would finish up every last scrap in this one project. And then I can move on to another ball, because I found another part ball of navy upstairs. Not really a big surprise. So I could do matching. Maybe I'll do matching with that same colors, different pattern in the center. Always a possibility. Who knows? We'll see when it comes time to restart something what I will do. But I will show you on this one here. So this is a worsted weight yarn. I am using 3.75 millimeter, which does seem small for a worsted weight, but for double knitting, you do tend to want to go a little smaller. And because I knit loose to start with, I always go smaller again. So this body part is on 3.75. I actually cast on and I knit the first 3 rows with a 3.5. So a size smaller for the cast on in the first 3 rows, then I went up a needle size. Just because I find a lot of times when you're knitting flat with double knitting, if you do it, you cast on with the same needle size, these ends on the bottom kind of flare out. So by doing a needle size smaller, I really wanted it to just kind of hold in. See here, you can see just a slight little flare here, but I think this is wool. So, you know, if you just kind of pull it out, or I am going to block it just to kind of even up. Hopefully my stitches will even up a little bit there. They do look a little, I think it's my pearls. When I'm purling with my left hand, I think that's where my tension goes a little off here. You can see it's kind of like every other row. But anyways, I'm hoping that blocking this out, because it's 100% wool, giving it a good block, everything will kind of shift and find its place, and it'll just tidy it up a little bit. That is it. That is all I've got. A new dishcloth and a new double knitting project. That is what I'm going to work on. Plus my sleeve, plus my sock. I don't know. I have got my vacation is going to be so full that, you know, at first my thought was, because I'm not going away with everything that's going on, this is just going to be a staycation. And I thought, oh, I'm going to just do nothing. Well, my nothing turns into, you know, we'll read this book and finish my sweater and knit a whole other sock, and maybe I could catch up and get a few more, just do some of my super simple diamond dishcloths, and I could get a bunch of those knocked off and, you know, get those put into my Christmas gift box and sort my whole yarn room and, you know, sleep in and go for a daily walk. And I don't know, I think I'm like filling up my hours pretty quickly. So we'll see what vacation turns into. I'm just going to go with the flow, and whatever I feel like working on, that's what I'm going to work on. But I'm really hoping that I will have a very busy knitting week next week. But we will have one more New Start Monday video. This weekend, I won't get a lot of knitting. That's right, I won't get a lot of knitting done this weekend, because we have just a small family thing going on the weekend. So that's going to take up a lot of my time. So we'll see. Hopefully I get this done. I don't know. You'll just have to tune in on Monday and see what I managed to get done from this week. So I hope you guys all had a great week last week, and you got lots done, or found a little bit of time just to work on whatever you're working on. And I hope you have a great week this week too. So let's chat in the comments. You can follow along with me over on Instagram. I post almost daily what I'm working on. And I will see you next week. So happy knitting, everybody.